there's some worker resentment, and the workers want a piece of the pie. Can you blame them? It's a pretty big pie. It's a pretty darn huge pie. And hey friends, so I'm here to share a story with you today that absolutely shocked me and interested me in the best of ways. Personally, I love a good scam. I love an elaborate scam. Like those stories I can eat up because it's just so fascinating to me how someone can put so much time, so much effort into making something illegitimate, but they actually, for the most part, get away with it. I mean, most people get caught eventually down the line, and they usually get caught because of greed, but that's not where I'm at today. Today I want to share with you a story about a very elaborate and elegant counterfeit operation. Now, I think we're all familiar with the fact that counterfeiting exists in the fashion industry, and especially with luxury items, and especially with branded luxury items, that you can't get away with counterfeiting. And so that's what we think until a couple of employees from this very, very famous high-end brand banded together to make their own bags. And the thing that I think is the most interesting about the story is the level of sophistication. They got the stitching, they got serial numbers, they got the detailing. They had someone who was supplying them with crocodile skins. I mean, they basically were recreating the actual bags and selling them for the same market value, but they just weren't legitimate. They didn't come from the manufacturer themselves. They were manufactured in an outside little side process, but I mean, if you were valuing the bags and if you looked at the bags, you probably would think this is the exact same thing. And one thing that I love about the story that just shows not to encourage scamming and counterfeiting, like please don't get me wrong, I just think it's amazing that the only reason they got caught was because let me backtrack. So it is 2013-2014, and this band, actually it's 3 employees who are friends who band together first to create this these bags. And it says that in the article that I read from the Fashion Law, which is my source material, it says that the suspects were actually aged from age 30 to age 61. So these are experienced, mature, and knowledgeable people that are putting these bags together. And you know, I really wonder if everyone who has one of these counterfeit bags knows about them, and if they really care too, and if, I mean, think about it, the bag is literally made by people who make these bags. I'm trying really hard not to say the name, who make these bags. And so if you're out in a social setting and you have the serial number, you have the certificate, you have the little detailing and the stitching, and this is your bag, you know, what's the difference? So anyways, these people band together, and between this 2013-2014 period, they sold about, if I'm not mistaken, 2.4 million euros worth of purses of these luxury bags. And it's really incredible that this operation went on for so long. And the fact that they were able to recreate, they learned the entire process. It was an inside job from their employers, and they took all of that home. And I think actually one of the charges against them is misuse of knowledge. So this ring was actually discovered sorry, I'm trying to make sure I'm projecting because this rain, and I need a microphone, so donate to my YouTube channel so I can get a proper microphone. So this ring was discovered because of a parallel investigation, actually, where authorities were investigating a man who was thought to be selling stolen handbags from France in Asian markets. So he was selling to the likes of wealthy people in Hong Kong and such. So they overheard him having a conversation about a secret atelier. Turns out that this is this ring that makes these bags, and he was trying to acquire from them, I believe. Now, the details of the conversation aren't really out there, but I can imagine he was making plans to meet with them, or he was maybe discussing them as a potential supplier. Anyways, once the authorities find out about this ring, then they go on to investigate them. And honestly, that was the only way that they were discovered, was because of one loud mouth who's probably been busted already. But it's just quite amazing, the fact that they ran their operation so smoothly and so quietly and so elegantly, and they almost got away with it, to be quite honest, but they didn't. And that's the moral of the story with scams. You almost, but you usually do not get away with it. So this is not encouragement. Where was I? So 3 months after the closing of the trial, the court handed down sentencing on September 25th. I think they all got between 6 months suspended jail sentence and to the most severe, a 3-year jail sentence for the alleged ringleader, and they have the most severe punishment. So at the end of the day, this luxury brand has won the case. They've stopped this operation, they've stopped this ring, and hats off to them. But I have to say, because of the level of their craftsmanship, the counterfeit bags were being sold for between 25,000 euros to 32,000 euros. That's not your small street counterfeit. That is next level. That is beyond. It's hard for me to fathom that they put all of this together and made so much money off of it. And I know I said there were 8 people involved, but I think another report says there were 10 people involved. So it was actually quite a big ring. It was quite a big organization. And, when you think of things like this, you wonder how long could this go on for. I mean, maybe if they'd made like 20 and stopped, who knows how many they actually made, and who knows how well they profited altogether. But, they almost got away with it. They did get away with it for some time. But the issue here is now there are people out there with these bags, and I really wonder if the brand is going to track them down, if it's going to be worthwhile tracking them down for their integrity, for their brand. And what are they going to do? Are they going to pay those people back their money? Or is it those people's problems now that they paid for those kinds of items? They were just protecting, their brand and wanted to stop this counterfeit ring. And the other thing about Birkins is the exclusivity. I mean, they have serial numbers, there's a waiting list. It's not impossible to obtain one, if you are making a certain tax level, tax bracket of money, you can afford one of these bags. It's all about money. It's all about money. It's actually estimated that luxury brands lose about $12 billion of profit every year to counterfeiting. So making these fraudulent items is worth people's money. It pays bills, it's feeding people, and it's a huge industry. I mean, if you go on eBay and you look up Chanel earrings, Chanel shoes, you'll find some items that Chanel themselves is not aware of, but they're there because it's a huge industry. And the reason people purchase counterfeit goods is as good as the reason people buy from the original brands who can afford it. They want to look good, they want to fit in, and they know exactly the worth and the value of a brand. It's a status symbol. Simply as that. Simply as that. It communicates something without you having to open your mouth. There's a reason why people purchase Gucci flip-flops. You could just wear any pair of flip-flops, but you chose Gucci flip-flops. So, I don't think counterfeiting is going anywhere. I do think that a lot of brands have been fighting and will continue fighting against counterfeiting, and it's just very interesting to see all the ways it manifests itself, whether it be from copycats who act like they're not really trying to, but they do, whether it be from these sophisticated rings that, basically remake the brand itself and just give it to someone out of their own, to just make the profit directly from it, instead of going through the middleman of the company. And also another thing to think about here is the story of the worker and their wages. All of these people, well, not all of these people, I think 7 out of 10 actually worked for this company. And to think that, there was no loyalty or whatnot, as companies love to act like there is within these organizations, that there's loyalty and prestige. There's some worker resentment, and the workers want a piece of the pie. Can you blame them? It's a pretty big pie. It's a pretty darn huge pie, and I wonder what their wages look like, and, what that does to you, working in this sort of high-end luxury environment where people who are just dropping money on items that would literally change your life. This is in no way trying to justify it. So I'm just looking at it from all angles. And that is the big Birkin bag bonanza. I hope you enjoyed this story, and I hope I can share more stories like it with you guys. Subscribe to my channel.